Welcome to Refused Flank, a wargaming podcast exploring the intersection of competitive excellence and narrative storytelling potential.
Hey, this is Grant.
And Cam.
And we are Refused Flank. We are continuing on with our 3.5 edition / 4th edition, whatever you want to call it, 3rd edition, Chaos Space Marine Codex review. Last week we went through the vibe check, the cool hobby relatedness, the lore behind Chaos Space Marines, why we think this book is particularly cool and awesome. This week we're going to try to touch on the special rules and the army list entries. We are not going to go super deep because there's a bajillion things, but we want to get through, everything in a reasonable time frame, so hopefully you guys aren't here for 6.5 hours. Any initial thoughts, Cam, before I just jump right into it?
Yeah, there's just a lot of really cool stuff in here. I'm excited. Again, you have much more experience actually playing this on the table. I have experience being killed by it on the table, so I'll have some things to say and just some general thoughts along the way. But I think you'll be driving the content on this one, so Take it away.
Sweet. We're going to start with the special rules here. So, Marks of Chaos, they explain what these are. There are 5 marks. There's one that's undivided, which is kind of like all chaos. And then there's Slaanesh, Nurgle, Tzeentch, and Khorne. They each do different things and have different costs associated with them and have different effects. We're not going to go super far into that now, though. We're going to save that actually for another episode where we dive into that because there are large implications for what those do to certain units. After that, we have veteran skills. These are, because the army is modeling like veterans of the Long War, a lot of these guys or whatever have existed in the warp where time is skewed and warped literally to where it's like these are some of the original warriors who fought on Terra 10,000 years ago. They are still alive because of how time works. Woo. And essentially that means that these guys are like hyper elite. And they can take these bonus skills on many units. Which is awesome. Again, another just cool way to show that some of that lore through in the rules in a way that, again, differentiates them from normal Space Marines. Although normal Space Marines can get some of these as well. Their vets can sometimes do this, but it's like you can do this on your normal Marines. And you which is really cool. The only specification is if you have a mark, you can only, take one veteran skill, but if you have no marks, you can take as many as you want. Yeah. So again, customizability, that's going to be kind of the hallmark word for this review. Then they have a small section on Chaos Psychic Powers. It basically just kind of explains minor psychic powers versus major ones. I'm not going to really go deep into that, but you can have as many minors as you want, and you can cast a single major every turn. And it kind of seemed like minor psychic powers were only in some White Dwarf supplement. Yeah, there's like some supplements out there where there's more. Certain of the Books of Chaos in the back of the book also have more. So if you're Nurgle, you can buy Nurgle minor powers. Gotcha. I don't think they're particularly great, frankly, but there's probably some okay ones. I'm sure they're like corner case kind of things where it could be depending on who you're up against or the scenario. This is something from this era that I actually don't like. You could argue it's fluffy, but I don't like it when you buy something like and you roll on a chart and there's an option for nothing. I don't like that. That does hurt. Yeah. So like the demon hunters / witch hunters have that with some of their guard with their psyker guys, I think. Yeah. They're sanctioned psychers. It's like, now they're very cheap there, admittedly. They're like 12 points a guy, but you could just roll and I do nothing. Yeah. I didn't get the sight. This can happen here with the minor powers. You can roll a 1 and it's like, oh, the Chaos Gods did not favor you with their powers. And I'm like, oh, thanks. I love that. I don't know. Yeah, we don't see psychic powers get used a lot in our games, so I think usually I only have a surface level experience with that. But there are some cool ones in here. I think one, which since we're not going to go too in depth in the word here, I'll just say it now, is the mass mutations, which is just a cool idea that the sorcerer or the squad that he's with, he just like calls down the power of the gods to mutate his own squad. Right. And then there's a chance that they'll all gain one of the demonic mutations that you could have paid for in army building, but just for free right now. At the cost of, if you roll poorly, you could end up killing some guys. Yeah. As the mutations rip through them. But just a really cool idea of this. And maybe they didn't know that was about to happen, but now all of a sudden they're a possessed Chaos Space Marine instead. Potentially very fluffy ability. That's very cool. And another cool modeling opportunity if you're playing that strategy, maybe building a few extra guys that have a few of the mutations, just so you could
swap them out mid-game if that happens could be cool.
I could see that being really cool in like a word bearer's force.
Yeah.
And like building around that, because again, they're like demons all the time, possession all the time. Let's do that. Okay. Fearless units. They explain what fearless is. Marked units are almost always fearless, except for
was
undivided.
this in here because it wasn't a universal special rule?
It very well may be that case. I don't know why it's singled out
There
here.
was even more of that. I read through some of the 3rd edition codex as well, just comparing some things, and it was funny, some of the stuff that was getting called out and specified in ways that in 4th edition were just clarified in the main rule book.
I think maybe 3rd didn't even have the concept of a universal special rule, so 4th might have been the first edition to be like, this is something that can occur everywhere.
Yeah, because instead of calling it out every time and fully explaining it, we'll just say, this is what fearless means, and then in the book we can just say fearless.
Right, and I know 3rd too would have like fleet, but by different names. There's like fleet of claw, fleet of foot, fleet of hoof.
asterisk.
Long story short, a lot of guys are fearless, potentially. Demons. Okay, we'll get into this. There's 2 big aspects to this. There's the summoning of demons. There's demonic instability, and then additionally, then there's greater demons in possession and how they work. And we're going to kind of just go down the line here. So first off, in order to summon demons, you need to have a chaos icon, which can just be added, I'm pretty sure, for free if you have an aspiring champion in a unit, is how this works. And then if you have like a marked one, you can buy some of the special icons.
Right.
Some of the special guys have paid ones that do different things.
And in addition to that, in order to bring in Nurgle demons, you have to have a Mark of Nurgle icon.
Or undivided.
Yeah, or undivided. So it's interesting how that works in terms of building out your army. And that's where you really have to start thinking about, okay, if I want to bring in plague bearers, did I say Nurglings? Okay, good. If you want to bring in plague bearers, then you do have to think about, okay, I need a squad that's going to either be undivided or Mark of Nurgle so that their icon can actually attract or manifest that type of a demon.
So it has to kind of make sense thematically. You can't have a cornate marked unit summoning demonettes.
Yeah.
Just doesn't happen. But yeah, okay. Essentially, that's like the prerequisite for army building, but it also has an effect on the table as well. So for demon summoning, it's kind of like they don't just start on the board, other than, as you noted, Nurglings. They're kind of a weird exception, but we'll get to that later. Most demons have to be summoned in, and how this happens is like a janky, kind of weird deep strike thing, but you roll for reserves, air quotes.
Yeah, so it gets easier as the battle goes on, a 4+ starting on turn 2.
Yep, 4+, 3+, 2+ each subsequent turn, and then if you get them in, you put down a large blast template in base to base with the icon, and then you roll a scatter, like a deep strike scatter. I think it's
2d6.
2d6. Yeah. So and then wherever that ends up, that's where the demon unit appears.
And they have to all go under that template.
Correct. Now, so I don't think most demon units can get bigger than 10. Maybe demonettes can, so I'm not sure how that will quite work.
Then, they'd start dying because you can't place them. But.
Exactly. So that kind of definitely has effects on like how big of squads of demons you want to bring. But in my experience, 10 is usually safe to fit within that. I guess especially with maybe more modern basing sizes, that might be more difficult, but in the time period that this was written, I believe 25 millimeter bases would have been standard, and that should be safe for 10. But the big boon here, if you want to call it that, is that they can move and charge on the turn that they arrive.
Right, which you can't do with deep striking.
Right.
So this is very powerful, potentially.
Yeah, and I believe this just happens like even before like moving. This is like the first thing that happens. So this is just like turn 2, boom, demons pop out. And I've seen in games with another player who plays Chaos just occasionally, he summoned demons a few times. One time it was plague bearers, sorry, and another time it was Furies. Both times they actually had a huge impact. The Furies especially, they're like jump troops, so they have very 18-inch threat range wherever they are. And he got a direct hit, so it was like they just
landed
showed
right
up
where
near.
You wanted them, yeah.
Yeah, so they showed up near, and then he jumped out 18 inches and, put some hurt on, I think, some Space Marine scouts or whatever. Pretty optimal target for them. But that's their big bonus. What keeps demons in check, one might argue, is demonic instability. So whenever demons, a unit has to take a morale check, they take it kind of as normal. But whatever they fail by, they don't flee. They just take wounds, unsavable wounds, for every point that they fail the
so
morale
like crumbling
check by.
undead in fantasy.
Correct. Yeah. So
Which is, I mean, it's nice that it's not an all or nothing thing like demons in fantasy, where the whole unit just disappears if they fail the test.
Indeed. I was thinking about that, and I think this is a fair enough interpretation. Also, I think the way that demons work in this are they're pretty aggressively statted, generally speaking. Even I would say the weaker ones, like demonettes, I think they have rending. So it's like they could potentially just absolutely slaughter things, and they've got good initiative, so they're swinging first a lot of the time. But I think demon units are pretty cool, and I like how this works. This is very themey. The 4th Ed Demon Chaos Demons Codex specifically tries to mimic this, where there's no Chaos Marines, it's just demons, and they're basically your whole army is deep striking basically. But I almost like this better. It just makes more sense. Admittedly, there wasn't a specific Chaos Demons book in 3rd and for much of 4th's life.
Right, so this was the way to get demons.
Yeah, if you wanted to have bloodletters, you had to summon them. So it's very cool and themey, whereas, I don't know, it makes sense to me. Now, could you argue thematically, they summoned the bloodletters beforehand? Sure, okay, I guess so. But there's something about this that I like.
And it's interesting comparing to the third, well, not really even comparing, but in the 3rd edition codex that came before this, they actually call out the demons may be cheaper than you'd expect them to be for their stats because they might just not show up, and that there's that potential. So I think that's a two-edged sword here because, like you said, they can be really powerful, but there's also, because you have to roll to see if they show up, they could just never show up.
Indeed,
if you could roll ones after turn 4 or whatever. And that would suck. And then a part of your army just didn't arrive. And so I think this, again, is the era where that was how you played. That it's a themey thing, but the themey thing might mean that sometimes the game doesn't feel as balanced. And so you just have to have that frame of mind, that perspective that, I just have to get excited about the fact that that's the whims of the Chaos Gods and still enjoy the experience.
Indeed. Overall, I like the rule. I like how it works.
Yeah.
Next, we have Greater Demons in Possession. So before a game starts, you have to elect one of your aspiring champs to be possessed. He gains a few benefits for this. He just becomes strength 10 all the time, although it's interestingly noted that you don't have to tell your opponent which guy is possessed. So I guess if somehow he hasn't been erupted out of
by the time melee occurs,
they find out when you go, he's strength 10, and they go, oh, okay.
And he just instant kills somebody. It's like, he must be possessed.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool that he's just like trying to contain it. And then every turn after the first, so not first turn, you roll a d6. Notably, this doesn't seem to get easier. It just says 4 up every turn. So I'm not sure how I feel about that, but turn,
there's some war gear you can take that helps this happen.
This is true. But you get a 4 or more, he gets replaced, so the aspiring champ gets counted as a casualty, and you put down a greater demon model.
Yeah.
The greater demons, it's fun. You kind of mentioned the 3rd Ed Codex. I think you look at the stats and you're like, wow, those are really crazy for how cheap they are. But again, you think about, you don't know when they're coming, and then second half of this is they have instability, I think, although frankly they're so good at fighting that I don't know how often they're like losing combats and taking morale checks, etc. But they also have every turn you have to see if like the physical form of the aspiring champion that they're like living off of is eroding, because they're so powerful they can't be contained by
the physical realm.
Exactly. So you're taking like a 3d6 leadership check every turn, and you just take wounds by everything you fail that by. So it's like they're taking demonic instability every turn on 3d6, which is really punishing. They are all leadership 10, all the greater demons. So on average, a 3d6 roll is 10.5. So half the time you probably won't take any wounds, half the time you'll take some wounds. So it's very random, and I'm not sure if I love that. I think it's potentially very punishing.
Yeah.
And it's a very random thing. Now, could you theoretically, you get the bloodthirster down and then he goes and mauls a bunch of guys? Yeah. I mean, you could probably live the dream. But I'm not sure if I love that as much. I think it's very themey, and I love like the idea. It's very like top-down design. They knew what they like wanted to feel like, and then they built the rules around it. But it almost feels a little too punishing for me. But this is, again, I have not played with greater demons, nor have I seen anyone play with greater demons in possession. So maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe bloodthirsters are absolutely crazy in auto takes. Not sure.
Yeah, well, I think it's also worth pointing out that the possession will occur automatically if the guy dies.
That's true.
Which is
Good
honestly
point.
a maybe better case scenario because of the degrading nature of them, because you
That's
get them
true.
in there, they die, and then all of a sudden your opponent's like, oh no, I thought I killed the unit, but now I have to fight a greater demon.
That's a good point, because you have to elect to invite the possession. So if you know the aspiring champ is like in a land raider or something, I don't know, and you're like, I'm going to commit, and you get him in there, and then he dies, and then all of a sudden, oh, it's a great unclean one. Yeah, I like that. That's a good way to look at it.
And just to clarify what you said, inviting the possession means it happens on a 4+. Resisting it means it only happens on a 6.
Yeah.
So you can try to hold off a little bit, but not necessarily entirely.
Yeah.
And this is a very interesting difference than the 3rd edition codex, which to summon a greater demon like this, you would just have to roll for every single character, including sergeants in your army, until you got through all of them and didn't roll high enough, or until one of them was possessed. But you could do that in whatever order you wanted. So you could start with the aspiring champions, but you could get all the way up to your Chaos Lord,
and then
the demon's just trying to
killed.
show up. Yeah, so you weren't selecting who was possessed by this demon. The demon was just trying to show up and would punch through reality wherever he could.
Sure.
So I think that this is a much more forgiving version of that, since
Fair.
you can kind of choose who it is that's going to be turned into it, but it's definitely a lot less chaotic.
Indeed.
But obviously, the full sweep of 40K's history has been moving towards less chaos and a little bit more ordered, and yeah, you can see the beginnings of this even here.
This seems like a good balance, I guess.
Yeah. I agree. I like how it works.
You could certainly get unlucky and like it comes down and then you roll an 18 and your demon that you just summoned is dead instantly through no fault of your own. But hopefully you at least got one round of something out of it. So, going on just to keep it going, demon weapons. These are just unique weapons that basically when you cause a wound, or is it when you kill?
Cause a wound.
Cause a wound, you have to take a leadership
inflicts
check.
at least one casualty, actually,
Okay.
so it has to be a failed save as well.
Okay,
Which
so-
I guess could be different than causes a wound. I don't know how,
Interesting.
depending on how you interpret that language.
They
but
kill somebody
Yeah.
or hurt somebody, you have to take a leadership check, not a morale test. So even if you're fearless, you take this. It's specifically noted. If you pass it, you're fine. But if you fail, you just take a wound.
Right, because the demon possession of the weapon is trying to take control of the weapon.
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
Have you ever failed one of those?
yes.
Okay.
It's never killed a person, though, because I only put those on characters, and they usually have multiple wounds.
Yeah.
But theoretically, you could dive into melee, I guess, with a demon sword or whatever, kill a bunch of guys, fail that, take a wound, and then maybe, I don't know, they hurt you enough.
Yeah, you are already wounded or something. Yeah.
It could happen. I haven't, but generally speaking, this is a very elite book. Most characters are leadership 10.
Yeah.
So this is
Is
pretty
there
rare.
any war gear that helps with that particular thing? The demonic, I can't remember seeing one that did, but
Not that I'm aware
okay.
of.
I didn't think so, but
But we can go through. Those are all the listed special rules. There's a ton of stuff in the armory.
yeah, we're not going to go through all of these things.
Yeah.
I think maybe we can just call out a couple
Yeah.
interesting things. Obviously, there's a bunch of specific gifts of the Chaos Gods, like you mentioned. We might talk about a few more of those when we do the Books of Chaos thing.
Yep.
But this is where you're just going to get all the details on things like what the veteran skills are, what the different demonic gifts you can get, vehicle upgrades. But a couple that I just wanted to point out, we mentioned one of these in the last episode because it's kind of a lore-y, fun, fluffy thing that provides modeling opportunities but you can take a Chaos Hound with your Chaos Lord, which is just really cool. And again, you could model that as kind of any chaotic beast type thing or alien beast, like you said last time. That could be like a xenomorph kind of thing or whatever you want. So tons of cool modeling opportunities there, and a fairly unique rule. You said maybe Space Wolves could do a similar thing, but most characters aren't taking these sort of companion pets or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So that's just a cool thing you could do. There's also a special war gear option you can take called Spiky Bits, which feels a little tongue-in-cheek and funny because the models themselves have tons of spiky bits all over them.
Do.
But this just essentially says all those spiky bits are dangerous. So when you charge into combat, you can re-roll. It's every round, not even when you charge. Re-roll one
melee
miss, of your melee attack. So just a fun, fluffy thing, but also gives you a little more incentive to make sure that your Chaos Lord that has that or whatever has sufficient spiky bits to make sense of it. And then finally, we talked in the Codex Orcs review about how it was kind of a bummer that the vehicle upgrades there didn't give you an option to make the looted wagon to get better armor. And it's right here. It's here in the Chaos Space
hull.
Marines. Yes, so you can take a mutated hull, which is one of a number of really cool demonic upgrades to vehicles, which again, endless modeling opportunities. I've seen some pictures of some absolutely amazing possessed vehicles. And but this is, I think if you wanted to, and you talk to your opponents, they'd probably be fine of using the points values here. If you really wanted to up armor your orc looted wagon, maybe they'd let you do it for 30 points or something.
Yeah.
But just wanted to point that out since it connected to that last review we did. Anything in here you wanted to call out?
I really, in my lists, I've been taking a lot of demonic resilience. +1 toughness just on a stick is really good.
It is really, toughness is a much better stat than weapon skill to increase in terms of rolls needed.
Going up on a Chaos Lieutenant or Lord from 4 to 5 just makes them significantly harder to hurt, and I think really good bang for your buck. I like demonic flight a lot. It's basically just you're a jump pack guy, but depending on your vibe and kind of the look you're going for, the theme, I could see you go for demonic essence if you're like a Zinch thing. Maybe part of him's made of dust. Maybe he's only like half whole or whatever, so he's got extra wounds because he's not really all there. Some of the fire just goes through him. Or maybe you're like demonic stature, which is more like you're a traditional demon prince. You're like a 9-foot, 12-foot tall monster guy.
Yeah,
and
but you're not
better at
taking
fighting.
it. Yeah, it's not a separate choice in the army list. It's just the Chaos Lord with this upgrade. So again, endless modeling opportunities.
And there's a lot of different ways to make you move differently. There's demonic speed, which is like you're just really fast, or maybe you have extra legs. And then there's also like demonic steed, which is like you're riding on something. And then there's tons of other stuff. There's like poisoned attacks, demonic strength for more just strength. Demonic talons is a way to get rending. I talked about that in the last episode. Kind of different modeling opportunities for all of these. What I would say is as somebody who doesn't love all the like tentacles and stuff, I think a lot of these rules, the effects are generic enough that you can kind of spin them as something else.
Yeah, it could be a piece of technology or a different armor kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll kind of keep it at that, but there's tons of them. A lot of the veteran skills are also really cool, but they're usually just universal special rules that you can get in certain other armies.
Apply
but you can just,
to a unit.
Exactly.
And that's something in the war gear, which this is the case for a few things, but there's like, depending on who you're putting it on, different points values. So obviously if you're putting the veteran skill on a whole unit, it's going to be different per guy than on a Chaos Lord.
For sure. Quick final highlight of two things. The Kai gun, I think, is really good value. If you want a shooty lord of some kind, that very few other armies can take anything like that. And then if you want to go melee, the Dread Axe on a demonic stature lord is very potent because he counts as a monstrous creature in melee, which means he ignores armor saves.
Yeah,
and
huge.
the Dread Axe ignores invuln saves. So you ignore everything.
Yeah.
So
Scary.
Yeah,
I would say
one
this
of the only ways to do that.
This war gear section feels the most like it came out of Warhammer Fantasy Army book because there's the most stuff that feels like magic items and magic weapons and things like that, which is really cool.
That's a good way to put it. But yeah, no, there's tons of stuff. I won't belabor that any longer. Let's jump into the army list. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, at the outset, it's kind of the standard overview of like you've got for standard missions, the regular force org chart, yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
But yeah, let's just dive right into the units themselves.
Okay. You can have 0 or 1 Chaos Lord or Chaos Sorcerer Lord or Demon Prince. They have weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 5, 4s, and then initiative 5, 3 attacks, leadership 10, and a 3-up armor save. Very customizable. You can give them all sorts of stuff. They have a huge limit. I think it's like 150 points out of the armory.
Yeah, and I think the clever thing here is that all 3 of those are the same unit entry with the same initial stat block, and it's really just how you decide to upgrade and customize them that turns them into a sorcerer or a demon prince.
Did you
or
buy
keeps
him
them
a
as a lord.
sorcerer thing? Did you give him enough gifts that he now just counts as a demon prince?
It's I think 50. If they have more than 50 points or at least 50 points, something like that,
more
of
than
demonic
50.
gifts, they now are demonic enough they are a demon prince now, which is so cool. I love that.
For 60 points, I think he's really good. He's quite affordable. He doesn't have some of the loyalist stuff where they like share leadership, which is kind of cool. I sometimes wish that, but at the same time, Chaos usually has really good leadership across the board anyway.
Yeah, they don't
so
need
it's not a big deal. I think he's a bargain for 60 points and can be just a cornerstone for a melee unit. Or whatever.
Since he starts kind of, even weapon skill, ballistic skill, you can really customize him to be either focused on range, focused on melee.
Sure, I could see just a certain combi weapon. Now, this book notably doesn't have combi plasma in it, to my sadness, but there's combi melta, there's combi flamers, or you just take, for cheap, you could take a combi bolter. If you want to be shooting with a reroll at BS5, you're not going to miss very often.
Yeah.
So I think he's just fine. Very customizable. I think long term for my Night Lord's force, I want to take one with a jump pack and lightning claws, and we're gonna see where that goes from there. And then I also have another idea for one that's gonna be more demonic prince type thing.
I love that idea.
That. So we'll
the Forsaken, that's his name. Yeah,
the Forsaken.
Something you just mentioned reminded me of a War Gear thing, which I think is another interesting difference between these guys and the Loyalists, which is the existence of the combi bolter, which is kind of comparable to the Storm bolter. Because the Chaos doesn't have a Storm bolter and the Loyalists don't have a combi bolter. So I just like that there's that other small difference. The Storm bolter feels a little more like high tech versus this feels a little bit more like it's an old style type of thing from the Horus Heresy.
I think in the rules wise, not to divert too much from theme, but basically the assault bolters, the Storm bolters are better above 12 inches because they can just shoot 2 every time.
Yeah.
Whereas the combi bolters are better within 12 because they get to shoot twice still because they're rapid fire, but then they re-roll. So
on a 3 or 2 up, depending on who's got it.
So basically, Chaos is better close up. Kind of makes sense, I guess.
Yep, it works.
Chaos Lieutenant or Sorcerer, unless you had further thoughts. I'll just note to Initiative 5, something to maybe not throw away. For both
Initiative
of these.
matters a lot in 40k 4th edition, as we've talked about in our overview of the whole system.
I've talked about this with one of our group guys, and it's just like throwing a fist on a Lord is really cool and awesome and punchy, but you're dumping a good stat in Initiative at that point. So if you want to take a lot of fists, it might be better to put it on an Aspiring Champ anyway, who's Initiative 4, so you're not losing that. Now, you do have a lot of attacks, so I don't think it's necessarily terrible, but I think when you have this higher than normal initiative, even for Marines, it's good to try and use that, so maybe a power weapon would be better on these sorts of fellows than it would otherwise.
True. Yeah.
So just keeping that in...
you're paying for it, so...
Right. Chaos Lieutenant or Sorcerer is the other HQ choice. Below him, he's just exactly the same, but 1 less wound for 15 points less, and he can't take as many things out of the armory, I believe. I think it's 75, which is still huge, and that's listed on the armory page, I believe, just for your own knowledge. But I think he's an absolute steal. I've been taking a lieutenant and not a lord for most of our games in our slow grower league. Part of that's because we've been below 1,000 points most of the time.
Yeah.
But for 45 points, his stat block is nuts.
Woo.
He does only have 2 wounds, but frankly, because of how joined units work, it's hard for him to get shot off the board. And I like putting demonic resilience on him, so he's tough 5. I've only seen good things. One of these guys with a Kai gun, very potent. It's an assault 2 bolter, strength 6, AP 3, and he's BS 5, so he can pick off 2 Marines a turn from range pretty easily if they're out in the open, and then take a leadership check because it's possessed or whatever, but he's a 10, so he's not taking wounds on it very often, theoretically.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, really good. I think the fact that they're so cheap is really their benefit, and then the world's your oyster. They're just, this is the Build-A-Bear unit, basically. Do you want to keep them cheap and lean, just throw a combi bolter on them, nothing else, or do you want to spend ungodly amount of points on demonic gifts and special gear? I haven't even talked about what if he's a Terminator. There's just a lot of stuff you can do.
Build an angry spiky bear.
Greater demons. I'm gonna try to
these
go
are
through.
HQ options, but again, you can't take them without somebody to possess.
Correct.
And so I guess I'm not 100% clear on this. I'm sure it's laid out somewhere, but they don't take up a slot then, right?
I believe they do, but that might be the case. It just says each demon is an independent character, follows all the independent character special rules.
Well, anyways.
Well, Your mileage may vary, but long story short, it lists all 4 of the different greater demons in like one big stat block. Again, I think the book was at a premium for space here.
Yeah.
So it's just jumbling multiple units, which would normally get their own page spread into just one entry. So the Bloodthirster costs 205 points. It
has to be one of the most expensive single models in the game.
Yeah, that's not a specific special named character. Yeah. He's got a 3-up armor save, though, which is unique. None of the other ones have armor save because he's usually modeled with, like, brass armor and corn. Right. And then he's got a 4-up invuln. All of these guys have 4-up invulns. And he's weapon skill 9, which is a very magical number because only Marines hit him on 5s. And he's strength 8 with like a bajillion attacks. Yeah, he's a monster creature and he flies and he's going to kill everything. And he's got good ways to stop psychic abilities.
But only 4 wounds.
Yeah, only 4. So you can just die to that 3d6 check if you spike it.
Yeah.
But he's fast, so hopefully you're getting something out of him. And if you roll low on that first one, you get a couple of combat phases, 2 or 3 combat phases with this guy. You're going to put some hurt in.
Interestingly enough, only initiative 4. So that means that if you're fighting another Chaos army, the Chaos Lieutenant would hit him first.
I think he might have Furious Charge, but don't quote me on that, from some of his special gifts. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff here. But he's definitely got Demonic Flight and all sorts of other stuff. The Great Unclean one is the slow one. It just moves like a normal 6-inch infantry. The big thing, as you noted, is he's, unlike the others, has 6 wounds. He's still tough 6. They're all tough 6. So they're all like very hard to hurt. And he's got a 4-up invuln. I think he's also got some other abilities that make him tougher. He might have like Feel No Pain, which he's like always going to get because you can't instant death him because he's he's tough 6. So he's basically got a 4-up, and he like leaks nurglings out of him. And I think he can do psychic abilities too, potentially. But he's only got 3 attacks. He's the cheapest at 150 points. I don't know how I feel about him, because generally the Nurgle units that he would be coming out of are slow too. Usually, like, you can't take raptors that are marked to Nurgle. They're specifically prohibited. Things like that. I think bikes as well. Don't quote me on that. But so a lot of the fast units that you want to put the Aspiring Champ on to possess. So it's like this guy's going to take a while to get there. I don't know if you just have to put him in a transport then. I don't know. Thinking to, like, get your best mileage out of him. You know what I mean? He's okay, but he's less likely to die from the instability because he's got so many wounds. Lord of Change, he's basically a shooty one. He flies around. Magic in this, or psychic powers, for Tzeentch is basically the shooty demons. I'm just going to leave it at that. He's cool. I think he's got one that's like Strength 8 AP2. So he's got like an anti-tank laser beam magic thing, and he can fly around, and he's still okay at fighting. He's weapon skill 8.
And with leadership 10 getting that psychic
no, that's
test.
the Keeper of Secrets. I'm mixing these up. I'm sorry. Oh, no, I'm not. Lord of Change is the bird guy, right? Yeah, he is. Keeper of Secrets is Slaanesh. Sorry, I'm missing my names up. But yeah, he's weapon skill 8, which kind of blows my mind. I would think that would be reversed. I think that's what tripped me up. But I don't know. 4 wounds. He's going to do magic-y stuff. He's just going to fly around and zoom blast people. I think this is one where it matters less who he's attached to because he's fast and he's got a lot of ranged options. So if you're taking him, he's probably a safe bet. Not as, unlikely, like I would worry with the Great Unclean one of potentially not getting a lot of value. Keeper of Secrets, 160 points. This is like it doesn't have flight, but it's very fast and has a lot of attacks, and I think it's got like just a lot of ways to kind of like nerf the enemy, if I recall correctly. I'm not super in love with it. It's fine, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a big Slaanesh fan, but it's fast and it's melee, so I'd say a lot of the same things as the Bloodthirster. It's just less tanky and less good at fighting generally, but it's still just fine.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong.
45 points cheaper.
Yeah, so. And for 45 points less, so you get more demonettes on the back end too.
Yeah, there you go.
Very
and
good.
who doesn't want more demonettes on the back end?
Indeed, and I think it can also do psychic powers, kind of like the Nurgle one, where you can take those Slaanesh psychic powers, so it's also doing psychic stuff. There's a lot more to all these units, but I don't take these often. I don't have a lot of experience.
A little less to say there.
Yes, but they're cool, I guess. Very fluffy.
All right, next up, Elites with Chosen.
Woof.
The most disappointing thing to grant in the entire book.
Yeah, this is probably the most disappointing thing to me in this edition of 40K. But it's because I want to love Chosen so much. This is, we've talked about in other army reviews where it's like, does this feel like what it's supposed to be? These do not feel like what they're supposed to be.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
these
feel
are
a little bit like Chaos Warriors in Fantasy 6th edition, where it's just like they just don't quite live up to what it feels like they should be doing.
They're not strictly worse than normal Marines, but I should clarify. These are really weird unit. They take up like only one force org chart no matter what, and it's like how many you can take. It depends on the points limit of the game. So if you're playing under 1,000 points, you can only have 10, 2,000, up to 20, etc., etc. But the most you could ever have, no matter how big the game is 40.
But it never limits the unit size, right?
It says maximum, the limit of the unit size. That's a good point.
So you could take all 20 as one unit, or all 40 as one unit over 3,000?
4 to 19.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's normal, because normal Chaos Marines and Power Armor can go from that to 20.
Oh, no, I see. So that's to form a retinue. Otherwise, a single unit between 5 and 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But regardless, essentially the Power Armor ones, they cost 17 points a model. Their problem is, though, is that their stats are identical except for leadership, which goes up by 1 to normal Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah,
so
for 3
going
more
from 9 to
points.
10 is nice, but for 3 more points, and I'm almost identical. Now, what am I gaining? I'm gaining options, essentially. I get more potential for special weapons and war gear, which is cool, I guess, but I have to pay for that too.
Right.
So it's this unfortunate circumstance,
privilege cost,
right,
opportunity
where
cost.
I have to pay more to get in the door to then pay more. It's like I'm paying a cover fee to get into the Chosen Club, but then I'm paying for everything in the Chosen Club again, and it
Well
just really
said.
stinks because you don't have to do that with the normal Chaos Marines, and all I feel like I'm getting out of the option is leadership 10, which is good. But
I mean, honestly, even if they came with like a free veteran ability,
That's
or
what they
they
need.
got their grenades for free or
so
something,
normal veteran Marines, the loyalist ones, they pay more too, but they come with Furious Charge or like Tank Hunter or something.
Yeah.
Usually they get an option, or maybe it's Infiltrate, don't quote me, but they usually get some kind of rule included. I can put those on these guys, but I have to pay for it again. So it's like, they're just not hitting me right. And this is, again, specific to the Power Armor ones.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad because they could be such an iconic unit of the elite, and they just don't end up quite feeling that way. But since everything else in the book is awesome,
it just makes me sad. But I hear you.
It's forgivable in the big picture, but still quite sad.
Yeah, they're just a very cool, fluffy unit, because this is like your Chaos Lord's bodyguard. You know, you talked about that art last episode with like Abaddon and all of his blokes around him.
Yeah.
Like, these should be like the absolute killers. But whatever, I won't dawdle on that. I think they're the most disappointing entry in the book. The Power Armor ones. They can take Terminator armor.
And this is like the primary way to get Terminators,
This
right?
is the
in
only way
list?
to get
Okay.
Terminators, is to put it on Chosen. So it's kind of weird. They're not like Chaos Terminators, which they did later. They were a separate entry. But in this, it's just Build-A-Bear. Again, Build-A-Bear the Codex. This is like a 2-page spread for one unit.
Right.
With all these options. Notably, the difference between Chaos Terminators and Loyalist ones is they kind of do like a mixed bag. I would describe them as they come with a power weapon, so just a normal one, and then a combi bolter base. Whereas Loyalists, you either go all melee or all kind of shooty with a power fist. This, they get like a melee and a gun, kind of. So they're kind of like in both sides. And base, they're actually slightly cheaper. So a normal, just a Chaos Chosen Terminator is 36 points a guy with base gear, whereas a normal Terminator Loyalist is about 40. It's within the range of acceptability. Where it tips the scale is as soon as you put anything non-standard on them, they become more expensive.
Interesting. Okay.
So because almost all the upgrades are 5 points or more. You can put combi weapons on like all of them, so you can just have combi flamers on a whole squad. So you can have like
That'd be
a
wild.
one shot, like 5 flamers.
Throw
go
them in
out.
a Land Raider, drive up, pop out.
Yeah, or combi melta. There's some cute stuff you can do. You can't, from what I can tell, and I've slaved on this, listeners. I've looked through everything. You can't seem to take double Lightning Claws base except on an aspiring Chosen Terminator champion or whatever. So like, And that costs like 30 points extra, which is not worth it. So you're talking about like a 70-some point model at that point for 2 lightning claw. It's just not worth it, unfortunately. You can give them 1 lightning claw, which I guess is an upgrade to their default power weapon, but I don't know if I pay 5 points for reroll wounds.
Fair. Because it depends on what you're fighting.
It just depends. But long story
so
short,
you'd say that the Chosen, get them as Terminators if you're going to get them?
Yeah,
Is that kind of
they're okay. I think they have okay options. They can do all the typical Terminator things. They can teleport. You can put them in a Land Raider.
Yeah, and honestly, that kind of makes a better retinue for your Lord anyways.
I agree. They feel fine. Am I like blown away by their value or how they fit the lore? No, but they're fine. They're fine. And I feel like more so than, say, like Assault Terminators in Loyalists or Shooty Terminators in Loyalists, where they might get put into situations where they're not optimal because of how their standard kit works. They are less likely to find a situation where they can't input at all. Because they'll be swinging at initiative with, power weapons, at the very least in melee, or they can combi bolter things from 24 inches out, always rerolling misses. So they're contributing, and then you can put like a Reaper autocannon on one if you want a higher strength weapon. Or heavy flamer. But yeah, cool, take them in termies. Transport Chaos Rhino, that's on this page for some reason. It is almost identical.
Well, it's probably the first unit that could take it with...
True.
As a dedicated transport, right? So they're just like, we'll slam it here. There's a little room.
Yep. The big thing here is that it cannot carry Terminators, Obliterators, Raptors, Demons, or models with demonic stature is specifically called out, but it's basically a Loyalist Rhino. It's just fine. Armor 11 on the front and
instead
side.
of a Storm Bolter.
And you can give it a Havoc launcher for like 25 points, which is like a cool kind of like indirect fire, like AoE weapon.
Oh, nice. I don't think I realized you could stick that on the
it doesn't
transport.
have great AP, but it's like one of those, like it would be good against hordes. So
is it similar to the Whirlwind in the Loyalist?
It's probably not as powerful as that, but it's a vibe like that. It's like a, I don't know what to call it, but it's like a missile launcher thing. That's like
describing it with sound effects, I think is probably the best.
But I think they're good. I think Rhinos generally are fine. BS4 for those weapons on them. And the key Armor 11 on front and side means they just ignore all small arms.
Small arms, yeah, which is huge.
Just the fact that you can't theoretically hurt it. So if that TAC Marine squad has to shoot at it with their missile launcher, all those bolter shots are wasted. So you at least make the Imperial player think about it.
Yeah.
So Rhinos are good. News at 11. They're fine. Okay, next from there we have Possessed. These guys are actually really good. Never taken them. They represent Marines that have literally been demonically possessed and have like extra hands,
which
and claws
is indicated in the rules by you choosing what mutations they're going to have, which we kind of talked about a few of those already in the war gear section. But you can upgrade them per model. But it's everybody, right? Has to have the same thing.
You have to buy it per guy.
All be upgraded with a single ability. Yeah.
Notably, they can't have veteran skills, which makes sense. Just wanted to point it out.
Yep.
They, I believe, can be given a mark though for those that they can get.
They can.
So you could have Cornate Possessed.
Yeah, which again, so many modeling opportunities here. They have obviously the mutation sprue that you can use to do stuff with that. Like we mentioned, the picture here on that page is one of the heads that's actually in that. But obviously, you get some green stuff out, or other bits and bobs from toys or other plastic kits from demon models, and you could do all sorts of really cool modeling to make these your possessed Chaos Space Marines of whatever flavor you desire.
For sure. Big standouts for me are the fact that they come with an invulnerable save of 5-up, just built in for demonic aura or whatever, because they're possessed. So that's just good. That means I don't feel bad about running out of cover if I am foot slogging it.
True. And they also have demonic strength by default.
Yep, so they're strength 5. This is big, means they're hurting other Marines on 3s and basically everybody else on 2s. So that's just big. These, obviously, we're skewing melee with these guys. They do have bolt pistols, but you're going to go in and charge. For me, the options are Demonic Flight for 15 points each. That's very expensive, but they turn into jump troops. Maybe worth it. But for almost 40 points a model, I don't know. Demonic Talons, that's the one I like. For 5 points a model, you get an extra... Well, you lose your bolt pistol, So you got 2 points per guy, 3 on the charge, but you have rending on everything. So
Wow,
that's
yeah, rending's
6s
great.
to basically ignore armor.
Yeah, send them into some Terminators.
So I like that. Yeah, that's kind of my choice. Demonic Fire, I think, is like a ranged attack. I don't remember the exact stats on it, but it doesn't blow my mind personally, but maybe good. Demonic Visage, this is like the Night Lord one, is what I call it. That's if you beat people in melee, they have a -1 to their leadership just built in. So cool, I guess. And then Demonic Mutation at 10 points per model, that's just another attack base. So now we're talking about 2 base per stat, bolt, pistol, close combat weapon 3, so 4 attacks on the charge if you give them Demonic Mutation. Pretty cool. Build-A-Bear unit again. And then you talk about marks, I'm sure complicates things even more. And you could put them in a Rhino. You could put them in a Rhino, which frankly I like.
Because it gets them into the combat faster.
Get them into the combat, keeps them safe.
I mean, I feel like these would be a fun one against orcs.
Yeah.
Because they could stand up to them in a melee, especially if they're getting the charge, which could be exciting.
Higher initiative than average boys, so they'll get the swing first.
Yeah, and a high enough strength that they're still wounding the boys on 3s.
So, yeah, very, very potent melee squad. I haven't taken any, but I've got them on my maybe list for theme, because technically they're still Marines. They've just been subjected. They're not literal demons.
I feel like you're creating the space there, the narrative space with
It
your
could
Forsaken
happen.
guy where, he's becoming corrupted, and so maybe that's bleeding out into some other dudes if you wanted to.
If I model it, I don't know how I want to do it, because I don't like necessarily the typical, like, I've got faces coming out of my head and my arms
Don't
are
we all have
backwards.
faces coming out of our head?
Yeah, I guess so. Extra faces coming out of my head. But, whatever. That typical look, I think I might go more like, again, the theme, maybe like bat weird guys.
Oh, that'd be cool. They actually grow bat wings out of their heads.
Something like that.
Instead of needing
there
helmets.
you go. Bat wings out of their heads. There you go. Okay, bum. The big unit, 0-1.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness for everybody who's not Iron Warrior. We'll get to that later. But Obliterator Cults, 70 points a model. You get a Colossus of a unit with a 2-up armor save, 2 wounds, 2 attacks, 5-up invuln.
And the fact that they're toughness 5, I just feel like obviously they're twice as expensive as a Sentinel, although that's without a weapon. But they feel so much more resilient than a Sentinel because of being toughness 5. There's not as much instant death. And with the 2-up save.
So we actually were doing that wrong when we first started. So I looked it up, and the fact, this was a misprint by them. This should be 4-5. So they should be like bikes. And the reason for that, the reason it was explained that way is because it's assumed they have the demonic resilience.
Oh, so they would still instant death to 8.
At 8.
Oh, okay.
They do still get a 5-up invuln, but which frankly I think I've been saved by an unfair number of times. But we did play that wrong at one point, I am aware. Because, again, you look in the book, at least the one I have, it doesn't look that way, but that was a misprint. That was fact. So I want to note that.
Good to know.
They are still strength 5, though, but I think that would be similar. It's like probably demonic strength, so it's like their strength with the power fist is not 10, it's probably 9. It doesn't probably come up that often where that's as big of a deal, but maybe.
Why would it be 9?
Because it would be doubling 4 with the +1 afterwards.
Oh, the +1, it gets added afterwards. That's right.
Yep. But without getting into all that, they're still very stupid, if I'm honest. I think they're probably one of the best units in the game. I've not played with all the units.
Their versatility, I feel like, is what really just sets them above.
Yeah, so they are what a lot of units wish they could do. That basically they've got a lane, and they've pretty much done it perfectly, is the thing. They've just found their niche, which is fire support. And then they said, okay, what makes a good fire support unit? Versatility, strength from afar, and resilience. And they've done all 3 in spades. These guys are incredibly hard to kill with anything that isn't a las cannon, because even if you get them with what often I've found is happening is, at least in our group thus far, people have a lot of missile launchers, which in light should instant kill them, but it's AP3. So I'm still getting a 2-up armor save. So they just don't do anything, frankly. So unless you really start getting AP2 high strength weapons, which, so again, plasma, you're not instant deathing me then.
Right, it's las cannon batteries or nothing.
It's basically got to be a las cannon or better to really start doing that. And even then, even if I'm out in the open, 1/3 of them do nothing because they just have an invuln. So they're very tanky against small arms. They're reasonably tanky against anti-tank weapons, more than some tanks, it feels like at times, as you noted with the Sentinels. And they're more threatening from afar. And they're pretty threatening in melee, too, because they have power fists.
Yeah.
Now, they are slow and purposeful, so they don't get the +1 attack on the charge, and they move a random amount of inches, which I have actually rolled double ones a number of times, and that's
so
kind of
deployment matters a lot more for these guys, that they do go in a spot that they're going to be able to work from.
They're saved by the fact that many of their weapons have 48-inch ranges, but when I'm deploying them, a lot of it's just, okay, what are my sight lines? These are the guys that I'm putting in a spot where I can see as much of the board as possible, and then I want to leverage them over the course of the game, and I've had them shot at by a lot of things. They survive way more than people think they will, and then they proceed to shoot back and do more damage than you expect. This may or may not be
part of why I love dense terrain boards.
That's fair. I mean, I just like how they look, but and here's the thing though, they have deep strike too built in, so even at a dense terrain board, you could play crazy deep strike. These guys have twin-linked melta-guns.
Yeah.
So if you want to, you can play, hey, they've got a Lehman Russ over there. I'm going to deep strike near it. Oh, I'm in half range. Oh, I've got 3 twin-linked. So they're very unlikely to miss. Yeah, and maybe I'm in melta range. Bye-bye Lehman Russ. You know what I mean? It's just...
It's nasty.
So they're just...
I don't like it.
They're very good.
I think, for me, the thing that just makes it frustrating is that there's no downside to choosing different weapons or anything like that, and the fact that it's just always exactly the thing that they need to shoot the thing that they're looking at makes them just feel more versatile than any other unit I've encountered. For sure. And I'm not good enough at running the numbers to really understand if that's fine, because 70 points is a lot for one model, and so they're just costed appropriately or not.
I think they're undercosted.
But it just on the battlefield, it just always is like, really? Oh, of course, yeah, it's a las cannon now, and then but now I was about to charge you, but now you have heavy flamers, so cool. Yeah,
they have They don't have heavy flamers, but they do have flamers. You're right. I'll just say the weapons just for those who don't know. They have a las cannon, autocannon, missile launcher, frag only. That's because crack missiles are just superseded by the las cannon.
Yeah, why would you?
Heavy bolter. Twin-linked plasma gun, which I just want to say for everybody's low-key the best one against a lot of things. Twin-linked melta-gun, flamer, and power fist. You're re-rolling to get hot, and it's AP2, and because they're slow and purposeful, they always count as stationary, so they can shoot 24 inches rapid fire all the time. So you move up, a couple inches, and in the early turns, if you're playing against Marines, you're re-rolling your plasma gun, you're wounding on 2s, and then you just pick up Marines. Yeah. Or Terminators, because it's AP2, so they're excellent against mech and tech equivalents.
Yeah, these guys are nasty.
Terminator equivalent. But yeah, I've said too much. They're very good.
Yes,
I think
are.
At times they just kind of carry the book. I think a lot of other units are not anywhere near as strong as these, but I just have 3. I'm never going to buy any more ever. But
you can't take more unless you're
Iron Warriors, which I think, again, if you look in old threads, people will say this book is overpowered, and they usually are citing Iron Warriors builds, which will have 9 of these, and then extra heavy support slots as well, and then they lose fast attack, but they don't care.
Right.
So those types of lists I could see being very unfun to play against. Now, if you're an Iron Warriors big fan, they are themey to have, but just maybe be conscious of that. Maybe don't take 9. Yeah. Maybe take...
And if you're going up against it, I mean, I think it's an opportunity to try to figure out what something has to exist that could go up against these guys and do well. But
for me, it's going to be las cannons. You got to make them take those 5-ups. Hope they fail. Instant death them with the las cannons. Don't take crack missiles.
Who can take the most las guns or las guns? Imperial Guard. Who can take the most las cannons? Do you think?
Total, as an army?
If that was the plan, was we're just going to las cannon spam to fight the obliterator spam, what army would you be taking? Or equivalent
Maybe
thing?
Dark Eldar? Dark Eldar can spam Dark Lances, which are not quite las cannons, but they're strength 8 AP2, which is the key ingredient.
Yeah.
And they can get a lot of those.
Okay.
So maybe Dark Eldar, and their BS4 as well, which helps.
Huge, yeah.
So they're hitting more.
Right.
So Dark Eldar.
So if anyone's ever done the Dark Eldar, was it Dark Lance?
Dark Lances.
Dark Lance spam against obliterators. I want to hear about it.
Yeah, I would think that, because you can take like 2 per like warrior squad for pretty cheap, and they're on every single transport, and they have a heavy support tank that has 3 of them, and you can take lots of those. They have a lot of ways to take Dark Lances, put it that way, and I think that's a good way to play them.
Yeah, I love it. But moving on to troops, we've got the bog standard Chaos Space Marines, which are not bog standard because they can all have veteran skills, which again is just such a cool way to differentiate them from loyalists and give you that sense that these guys have been around for millennia and are just fighting the long war. I love it.
Some cool standouts things. You're so right in all that. Leadership 9 is awesome. They can take an aspiring champ to get them to leadership 10, which again makes me roll my eyes at the Chosen.
Yeah.
But notably, they can have either close combat weapon and pistol or bolter. Normal 4th Ed Marine loyalists do not get that option. They actually have to take a chapter trait to unlock that as an option if you're doing the build your own chapter rules. But bog standard Ultramarines cannot just take tacticals with a bolter and chain
Well, isn't an assault squad without jump packs the same thing?
Yes, but this is a troop.
Oh, and those are fast attack.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So this is the key difference. You can, and then additionally, this squad can go up to size 20, 5 to 20. The variability here, I take a lot of squads of 5, just because frankly I don't want to paint a lot.
Yeah.
But I could see you running almost like a power armor wave.
Right, where there's just too many targets to.
Right, like almost an orc kind of vibe. Right now, that's a lot of painting, and I don't have that in me. But I could see that being very effective because these are reasonably cheap-ish, for how tanky they are. And 20 just Marines with a bolt pistol and chainsword, and then like aspiring champion with like a power sword in front. I'm kind of scared of 20 just Marines just coming at me.
Wouldn't it be better to take them all in a bunch of squads of 5? I guess you run out of Force Org slots eventually, but
so here's the thing. You're absolutely right if your objective is like mine, which is to maximize special and heavy weapons, which is their other standout
I was
feature.
also just thinking too many targets, because then they can't.
Good point.
Like if they shoot a whole unit and wipe one out, they might waste some stuff. Yeah.
That's fair. What I was leaning more into is the idea of, you might run out of slots, whereas I just want to maximize total bodies. Like I want blobs
that's a great
of
point.
20.
That'd be fun to see. I mean, I guess that's maybe what like a Khorne army could lean towards is they'll have some Khorne berserkers, but maybe also just some Space Marines kitted out like that. Yeah.
Well, and that's what your berserkers will be, because again, you're marking these guys mark a Khorne.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So that's how this kind of works in this book. So you can have a blob of 20, mark them Khorne, buy them all chain axes. Now they're a little more expensive than they were, but man, when they get into that melee, now they're a lot scarier.
Yeah.
And they're fearless on the way in, etc., etc. But again, the other big thing which I alluded to, unlike loyalists, these guys can take a heavy and a special weapon, or again, the or here is big, 2 specials. Loyalists cannot do that. I can't understate enough how good that is. That is tremendous.
Yeah, 2 plasma guns.
Yes, which I do in my army. When I found out they could do this, when I was kind of theory crafting my list, I have like a doc online. It was like Grant's Night Lords. It's like 5 years old now. I don't even know. But I wrote like themes in it. And I was like heavy plasma, shooty / melee, and I had all these like guiding stars that I wanted to chase while building my army. And it was part of that was because I'm like, I can take lots of plasma on normal troops. And I like normal troops in most games. They kind of get me excited about a force more than, say, a hero.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to focus on, I want a lot of Chaos Marines with like special weapons doing their thing. And I feel like they can do that really well. The fact that they're 14 points a model is they're at this like sweet spot of like, not cheap, but not so expensive that you can't take a ton of them. And they've got, of course, the power armor thing. You can throw frag grenades on them for a point. They're 1 point cheaper than Loyalist Marines and they basically get that because they don't have, and they shall know no fear.
Right, but they have the increased leadership.
But they have the increased leadership.
So they really still feel cheaper.
They feel like a bargain. For me, when I get, long story short, again, try to move fast here, is they feel like one of the best troop choices in the game, and that excites me.
Yeah. It's nice when your regular dudes are actually good and feel like they're
Right.
gonna carry their weight on the battlefield.
Yeah, they feel like they're gonna, and they can take rhinos too.
Yeah.
So as dedicated, so you can do all sorts of stuff with them. And then that's before we talk about marks, where these guys go all over the place in terms of what they're doing.
Yeah,
but
which
just-
let's skim quick through those. I mean,
Okay.
we've got Khorne Berserkers, we've got Noise Marines from Slaanesh, we've got the Nurgle Plague Marines, the Thousand Suns that aren't even real dudes inside the
they're
armor
just
anymore.
dust. Yeah, so and those are all just changed completely. Like the Noise Marines have like special sonic weaponry that unlocks for them. The Khorne Berserkers obviously are like extra attacks, fearless. And they have like chances to move further, but then they can't take like ranged weapons anymore. Basically, outside of a very limited list. Nurgle Marines get like true grit and more toughness or whatever, but they are moving slower, but they're tanky. And they're like one-handing bolters, doosh, 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 and then Thousand Suns are extra wounds. All your Marines have 2 wounds, and
Which is just normal these days, but back then in third and a half,
they're very tanky, but it got much more expensive too. I'll note. But
Yes.
long story short, love Chaos Marines. Love how they work in this book. Love how they can go in 80,000 different directions. It feels like you
once
can go
again,
shooty, you can go melee.
customizable.
Veteran skills too, just want to throw that in. You can give these guys infiltrate, like just pay for infiltrate, and now I've got an infiltrating squad.
Yeah.
Right, like you can give them tank hunter, you can
Yeah.
give them
So like you
furious
said in the
charge.
Book of Chaos, there's not like a build your own chapter, but it's just built into the main
Right.
list. Like
You
you are
can-
doing that the whole time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just so custom again, and for the literally the namesake, the titular Chaos Space Marines, they feel perfect. I don't know if any book has ever done it as perfect. So A+. Finally, demon packs. I'm going to go through this really quick. I've used very few of these, specifically are seen used. We have seen Plague Bearers used, and I think that's it. I'll go really quick. Blood Letters are 26 points a model. They have strength 5. They have an armor save of 3 up.
Because again, the brass armor,
Yep.
unique for demons.
And they have power weapons with 2 attacks base. They seem pretty scary. Strength 5, initiative 4. They're going to wipe Marines. They are expensive per, though. And as we kind of talked about with demons, the problem with them is you're not sure when they're going to come in. But man, oh man, if you get a group of Blood Letters to pop down where you expect and want, and then they get to move and charge when they come down, they're just wiping
That's where
guys.
it all comes together.
And again, I can't remember. I think Khorne gets... I'm going to check live because this matters. They must charge and make sweeping advances whenever possible. I guess maybe not. But I couldn't remember if they had Furious Charge. I'm going to guess not then. But they're still at least swinging simultaneously with Marines, so they're going to get a buttload of power armor or power weapon attacks. These are like what Howling Banshees wish they were, kind of. But again, they come in randomly, and they're very expensive. After that, Plague Bearers. These are just tanky guys. They're tough 5, and they have like poison attacks. They aren't particularly killy, but they're there to just not die and be an issue. And they cause like it's like Nurgle's Rot. And I've seen this do devastating damage against a Marine player who rolled very unluckily, where they can just have chances to cause wounds just for being around.
Oh, yeah.
But then they get armor saves, but we saw like a Marine player roll like a bunch of Nurgle's Rot and then fail like a bunch of checks. So like all these Marines
Sad.
were just not even in melee, but they just like fell over from disease. So very fluffy unit.
Didn't have their rebreathers on, I guess.
Yeah, but they're really cool. Horrors, they're like the shooty demons. I don't really have a lot to say about them. They're BS3, so they hit on 4s, I guess. Cool, but they're also only weapon skill 2, so not nearly as good in melee. But for some reason, worth noting too, the Horrors have 2 wounds. Just want to throw that out there. I feel like a lot of people skim over that.
I just assume it's the same as the rest.
But
yeah.
2 wounds, I guess. I think it's to mimic the fact that they sometimes would split from pink into
right.
blue, but they're just kind of saying, nah, it's just they got 2
Yeah,
wounds.
let's ignore that complication.
And then Demonettes, they have like, they're really fast. I think they have fleet and they have rending or whatever. So these are the run at you, lots of attacks. I wish they were initiative 5. but I think Tzeentch has ways to lower initiative kind of built in, if I recall correctly.
So they still can strike first.
So I think I think that might be what Warp Scream does. You know what? I'm gonna look live because it kind of matters.
Yeah, you keep looking. I'll talk about Nurglings while you do.
Okay, you do that.
Nurglings are a little bit weird because they're kind of like demons, but they don't use any of the normal demon things, and so they can just be deployed normally. In fact, I think they must. And you can have 3 to 10 bases. This is one of the few things that... wait, are they actually count as a swarm? No, they're just a small target. So they always count as having a cover save better than it would be. Not out in the open, though.
I think they're swarm without the special keyword because it's not fourth, because they are still vulnerable to blast.
I see. So again, we're seeing that moment before we had universal special rules, things still being described that way. But yeah, they have a lot of like weird things. So they still have the instability thing that demons have, but they're mischievous, so they can't hold objectives because it says they're going to wander around or try to damage it.
Yep.
You can only have them if you've got an independent character or a unit that's got the mark of Nurgle, makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I think they seem pretty good. 3 wounds per model is always a nice thing to have.
And only 10 points a base.
Yeah, with 3 attacks as well. Still the 5-up save. So yeah, I think they're pretty good.
Yeah,
they're fun.
Very fluffy. And I mean, are they going to like win the game single-handedly? No, but I think these guys fill a role almost like Gretchen do in Orcs, where these are just running up and you don't care.
Yeah, if they die, that's fine, but hopefully they just drew some fire from something more important. For
100 points, you get 30 wounds. That's a lot of wounds, and these guys are tough 3, so they're a
even
little
better
tankier than Gretchen.
In that way, yeah.
So, and is there invuln? Is there save and invuln? It is. So they're always getting a 5-up too. So they're. I'd
say arguably better than Gretchen, though.
I like them.
Yeah.
But I did look it up. Warp Scream does lower opposing initiative. So
okay, there you go.
You're gonna
so that's the way.
Demonettes are gonna charge in. Ideally, if they're not in cover, they're swinging first with a buttload of attacks. You're going for rending, and they just kill you.
Nice.
Woohoo! But demons are cool.
Moving on to fast attack.
Hey,
one of your
boys.
Favorite units, Chaos Raptors.
Normally 0-1. Famously, though, maybe not famously, but the Night Lords removed this limit.
Famous in our group.
Yeah, similar to how Iron Warriors removed the limit on obliterators. Yeah. These guys are just really cool, and for me, they're super fluffy. I love it. They're like Assault Marines, because Assault Marines and jump packs were pretty rare in the Horus Heresy, I guess. So they were not a lot of them, and the Night Lords had a specific unit called the Night Raptors at that time that was like specialists in this, and that's why the Night Lords have more jump troops than other legions that turned traitor, I guess, because they had guys that specialized in it before it was cool. But I think this is a confusing unit to a lot of people looking at it on the outside in. It's got a lot of stuff going on, and I'm going to try to go over it quickly. Number one, they're very expensive, 29 points a base for basically the stat line of a Chaos Marine. So over double the cost for the same stat line. What am I getting? Well, I get a bolt pistol and close combat weapon, so nothing's changed there. But I do get frag and crack built in. Cool. Okay.
Yeah,
so I
about
can
3 points worth.
About 3 points worth. So I like that. Then, boom, next huge thing. I can have up to 3 models armed with a special weapon. That's already crazy. So it's like, wow, I can have a lot of special weapons in the squad. Already one more than the already good 2 from the Space Marine or the Chaos Marines. So that's neat. Then they get some special rules. They have Demonic Flight, which is basically jump packs. I'm just going to call it jump packs. That's what it is. And then Demonic Visage, which is the -1 leadership to an opponent, just built in no matter what after they win in melee.
Which can be great, for when they come in, do a ton of attacks on the charge.
Right.
And,
hopefully they outnumber, if it's an opposing small squad. A lot of times that extra -1, I find there's a lot of leadership 8 in this game. You can get people down from like that 7, because maybe you outnumber them 2-1 to that 6. You just bring them down enough to where, okay, it's much more likely now that you're gone.
And then the sweeping advance then.
Yep, ideally. And then finally hit and run, which is kind of the cherry on top for me. Hit and run is, I think, for new players, doesn't look that great. But for me, I've used it to great effect, especially in combination with all of these factors. So, hit and run, if they're only a melee force, would be good, but they are brought to the next level because they have so many options for special weapons. So what I've done, I should say, because I'm the bad person, is I'll get a charge into a unit that I hopefully feel advantaged against. Don't usually win the combat, frankly. They have a good number of attacks, but if I'm charging other Marines, I'm happy if I kill one or two. I might even lose a guy, right? Yeah. But then I stick combat, hopefully, fight them again another turn so I can't be shot at, but then on their turn, I hit and run out 3d6, thus allowing me, and I get to pick the direction, and then on my turn, then I get to move, charge something else again. And what I've been doing, at least the main build I've been doing, is plasma pistols. So kind of a mixed, I would call it. So I go in, I plasma pistol you, charge in, try to maybe hold in combat, stick there. We just do nothing for a turn. Hopefully we're just hitting each other's power armor if it's a melee fight against mech, because we've had a lot of power armor in our meta. And then I jump out, get to plasma pistol somebody else, charge them, rinse, repeat, and hopefully I'm never getting shot at, ideally.
Right.
And
which is one of the most frustrating things for being the opponent of that.
So it's
like,
very,
I can't,
they're all over the place.
Themey.
It's very themey, I guess. And then, if they do get into a unit that's not nearly on their level, like, I don't know, like Eldar Guardians or something, they will just eviscerate them. And again, potentially wipe them in combat with a sweeping advance with the Visage. Notably, they can take a veteran skill too. One that I want to highlight is actually they can infiltrate. This was asked in the FAQ if they could do that, and they can. So you can infiltrate these up the board.
Wow.
And then
turn one charges?
Potentially.
The terrain's policed correctly?
Yes, so there are some interesting things. Does that make them very expensive? Yes, 32 points a guy. Very, very good overall, I guess, is what I want to just say. But tons of options. They do have some limits with marks too, but we'll worry about that later. Love the unit. After that, Chaos Bikers. I think they're just better loyalist bikers. You pay a few more points, but you get attacks too.
Seems like we're saying that a lot.
Yeah, you pay a few more points, but you have attacks too. You don't have... I think these guys can take plasma guns. Yeah, they can. For me, it's just the fact that they have 2 attacks. I think Loyalist Bikers have 1 attack base.
They also just get an extra one on the charge because their bikes are covered in spikes.
Well, I think that's what that's representing.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah, already included in the profile.
Correct.
Gotcha.
So, whereas the normal bikes for Loyalists only have attack 1 there. But I'm not paying that much more. But that just allows them, obviously they're trying to say melee Chaos wants to fight, which is cool, but like they're just fine at shooting too. So it feels like they get to kind of be a little more versatile. And you can give them Skilled Rider as a veteran skill pretty easily. They do have some limits in marks as well. I don't think you could have Mark and Nurgle bikers, for example. But I don't have many more thoughts on that. They've been very good for me in many of my games. Bikes have been standout. Going toughness 5, again, very big.
And only 1 wound, so it doesn't feel quite as bad when they get instant death.
It's true. It's true. They're very good, though. I like them a lot. Demonic Beasts, I have not used any of these, but I have seen Furies taken a few times. Flesh Hounds are like the Cornate ones that just run forward and try to rip things to shreds. Cool. Screamers, those are the Tzeentch weird like manta ray guys. They're really different in this book than in the Chaos Demon specific one. In the Chaos Demon specific one, they count as having like melta-bombs.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
You like run in and they like eat through the whole armor of a tank.
Amazing.
Which is kind of cool. Whereas in this, they're like these kind of janky like hit and run guys. They just seem like worse raptors to me. I don't know. They're fine. And then Furies seem pretty darn good for 15 points a model. They're just jump troops that fight in melee and they're strength 5. So you could do
toughness 4.
You could do a lot worse. And I've seen them eviscerate Space Marine scouts on the charge.
Nice.
Don't have a lot of thoughts. Heavy support, Chaos Havocs. They're pretty much the Devastators of Loyalists. They're about the exact same. Obviously, though, you can buy them veteran skills, notably Tank Hunter. That, if you math it out, I've mathed it out with my colleague on Discord, 4 autocannons with tank hunters are statistically some of the most threatening anti-tank weapons in the game against, I think, anything that isn't armor 14.
Wow, just because you're rolling so many dice
You
then?
have so many dice. They're basically, it's like shooting 8 crack missiles.
Wow.
Very potent, theoretically. I've been running mine double autocannon, double missile launcher, partly because I don't get 4 autocannons in the box, but also I like having AP3 as an option against Marine equivalent infantry.
Yeah, that's fair.
So,
or some frag grenades against orcs and
or frags. Yeah, no, you do get a lot of versatility here. But they're good. I like them. I think for their cost, they're maybe like a tiny bit better than Devastators, just because they have better leadership, but they don't have "and they shall know no fear." So
sorry, loyalists. Just
I don't
most
know.
of the things in this book are the same, but a little better. It sounds like.
That's where I feel for a lot of the basic guys. I do feel that way. It's where I get into the more specialist things that I think the loyalists take over. Sometimes. Chaos Predator. It's pretty much the exact same as a loyalist predator. A lot of the costs are all over the place, so you could like look at like the Dark Angels book is going to have wildly different costs than say the Space Marine normal codex versus this codex. I think they were figuring it out over time. I think this one has a much cheaper las cannon variant, but the destructor, the autocannon one, is more expensive here than in later books.
Okay.
So your mileage may vary.
Yeah. Are there any of those vehicle upgrades you would consider, or is it really not worth it in your mind? Would you ever do the mutated hull to get up to front armor 14 on your Predator?
Would I do that? Potentially, yes. In my current force thematically, probably no. But if I was playing a more themed, like demonically weird army, I think that would be cool. I like armor 14 is a noticeable
that could also
increase.
be cool with something like what is it, Iron Guard? Iron
Warriors.
Iron Warriors, there we go.
Yeah.
Where, like we were saying, it says demonic, but you could just say that they're just up armoring their thing because that's what they do. They're just actually making better armor.
Notably, demonic possession too, that allows the vehicle to ignore shaken and stunned. I think it's really good on a Predator.
Yeah,
because
good on any vehicle you could put it on, really.
Indeed, but especially because this is just a shooty vehicle, right? So like just ignoring as many options of stopping you from shooting, right? Like as possible seems good value. It is a little expensive, but I have one. I haven't taken it. Oh no, I have taken it to a game. It just wasn't painted because I was a bad person. But it's fine. I take it with the autocannon and heavy bolters. I just kind of prefer that, and I've got obliterators for anti-tank.
Yeah.
The Chaos Dreadnought, really love the implementation of this. He's random. He's basically a normal Dreadnought, but he's got a chart. Every turn he rolls a d6.
Yeah, it's interesting that... Oh, sorry, continue.
No, go ahead.
You were in the middle of explaining the rules, so
fair
please
enough.
finish.
On a 2 to 5, he is fine. He acts normally. On a 1, he runs an extra d6. Basically, he gets like fleet. And then
which is great on a walker, because otherwise walkers are just laboriously slow at getting into combat.
Indeed, and this is in a book too where he doesn't have the option to deep strike via a like drop pod like loyalists can. But he just moves a little faster and doubles his attack value. I'll note that he is attack value 3 base, which is already above average. So he's a little better at fighting. And then if he rolls a 6 on that roll, he gets Fire Frenzy, which is he stands still and shoots his weapons twice at the nearest enemy. However, if there is no enemy in the line of sight, I think he'll shoot friendlies.
Yeah.
I haven't had that happen yet. I don't know if I've ever gotten Fire Frenzy. I've rolled Blood Rage a number of times, which usually hasn't been good for me. It's like I wanted to shoot my plasma cannon, and now I can't.
Yeah. It does say any in or visible or in range, so it could even just be that the enemy's out of range.
Right.
That could also screw you over during night fighting, potentially.
That's true. Good point. Yeah, I think he's just fine. The biggest loss, again, I think, of this one versus the Loyalist one is the Loyalist one has access to assault cannons. This one does not. Assault cannons, I think, are some of the best weapons in the game.
They are, with rending and that many shots and ballistic skill 4. Oh my
comparatively, I think this one is just worse because of the loss of that option, which is fluffy. Chaos doesn't get those.
Yeah,
Totally fine.
And I love
with
it. I love that there's at least some of those,
Right.
some of
So,
those restrictions.
Is he fine and playable? Yes, I take one occasionally, and he's just fine.
And I
Does he,
do
like-
love the Fire Frenzy thing, just really differentiating from a lore perspective, how like a Space Marine Dreadnought is like, we venerated this ancient warrior so he
Right.
can continue to serve, and this one's like, oh, I'm trapped in this box and I can't get out.
Yeah, he's
I just gotta kill
insane.
stuff. Yeah, so it's a very interesting way that what could be an identical weapon they really tried to make feel different. And I guess this maybe now turned into a Hellbrute or something like
Yeah,
that, which I don't know
it's
what
the
the thing is
same
with that,
thing,
but I like this implementation where you still see the root connection with what it once was, but it has now, it's chaosified.
It's been corrupted.
Yeah.
Another quick thing. I don't know if the loyalists can take 2 close combat weapons. This one has the choice, although it's funny. The book says it's not modeled, so you'd have to kit bash it. You don't see that very often anymore. But if you want to have a lot of melee attacks, you can do that. Cool. Especially with 3D printing nowadays. Chaos Land Raider. This is almost exactly the same as the Loyalist Land Raider, except like instead of machine spirit, it says infernal device.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure they do almost the exact same thing. It's very expensive. We've not seen a Land Raider in our meta yet. I think theoretically it's a weird unit to think about because it's so expensive, but it's obviously got a lot of power.
It's true. I guess this is more expensive than even a Greater Demon.
Yeah, this is probably the most expensive unit in the book. It's armor 14 all around. It's got 2 twin-linked las cannons and a twin-linked heavy bolter. And it can hold 12 guys or 6 Terminators or whatever.
I guess that would kill Obliterators.
Or maybe it's 10 guys. It's 10 guys only, or 5 Terminators. So you could put, like, this is the classic delivery vehicle for your Chaos Lord and Terminator armor and his 4 chosen guards with him. I don't know. It seems fine. It's very expensive. This is the all eggs in one basket, the thing, I guess, which sometimes I'm sure it's going to work out great. Other times, again, I think
they
of
just
like
get a good armor penetration roll on turn 1 and boom.
yeah, or you're playing maybe Eldar or Tau, who have some like interesting ways to deal with armor 14.
Yeah.
And then maybe you just die turn 1, as you said. Chaos Defiler. I've seen this played with another player a lot. I've never taken one myself. Again, I don't feel like it fits my theme. It's a very weirdly statted unit. I feel like they've actually almost failed a little bit in this. Mainly because weapon skill 2. I don't understand why it has weapon skill 2. It's like a fighty walker. At least that's what it looks like, right? Like it's a giant like scorpion mech. So it looks like it should come at you with claws, but instead they made it like this weird cumbersome thing that's better at shooting. And I think I've seen like kind of disillusionment with the guy who sometimes brings it, because he's like, you look at it, it's like, this is the melee mech, right? And it shoots on the way in, but
it's on the way in, right?
yeah, and then it gets in and it's like, okay. Fortunately, weapon skill having low isn't the end of the world most of the time, but it's still a little kind of weird.
It is weird because I mean it doesn't have close combat weapons. It just has the monstrous creature ignores armor saves thing. So like it can be, but it actually just has a lot of ranged weapons. It's got a battle cannon, a Reaper auto cannon. Obviously the heavy flamer is a closer thing, but it's not kitted out necessarily to do melee. So it is weird that the model kind of looks like it is, even though like nothing on here is a representation of the big pincher claw thing. So
it feels like those would be Dreadnought close combat weapons, but
it's not even an option here.
Instead it's strength 8 monstrous creature. Still very difficult to deal with and scary, don't get me wrong, but just again, mental disconnect a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I've never been a huge fan of the model either, to be honest. I think maybe there's like some other more interesting implementations, but it's always with like the battle cannon just like in its chest and stuff. It's kind of like, it's not my cup of tea.
Doom, like 1993, like old Doom, like vibes. Like this is what a bad guy, like the Spider Mastermind in those games, where it's like mech but like biomechanical. Also, I don't know. Not my favorite either. The battle cannon, I will say, though, is powerful. AP3, strength 8, woohoo.
Yeah, and it can be configured to fire indirectly for an extra 25 points if you want to. Turn it into a barrage weapon.
Yes.
So, could be fun.
Indeed, but That's
I don't know if that's
actually
worth 25 points.
Yeah, I don't know if it is either. Because again, part of this thing's appeal is that it comes demonically possessed. So I almost want to expose it to fire because it's somewhat tanky at armor 12 in the front and sides.
Yeah,
and
and
will
honestly,
ignore a lot of stuff.
Heavy flamers are great, so moving up and shooting those autocannons and then getting into flamer range could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is hurt because it can't shoot the autocannon and the battle cannon at the same turn.
Right.
But so that's kind of one of its problems. But I guess if you know, like, I need to hit this specific thing, you can go for the autocannon. But I prefer the flamer for that reason, or whatever. And then you can give it a havoc launcher like the Rhino or whatever. I don't know. It feels like it's at war with itself a little bit conceptually.
Yeah, I would agree. And then, again, especially with how expensive it is.
Yeah, so not a huge fan, but it's fine. Battle cannons are good.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's actually the last unit before we get into the Books of Chaos, so maybe we'll do that next week to kind of wrap this up and then give our final thoughts on the
in terms
books.
of like how our episodes are coming out, let's see. I think I think maybe we won't want to split this. So I think maybe we'll do our end of year episode will have already happened by the time you're listening to this, I think.
Probably.
So that'll come out around Christmas. Then we'll do these 2 episodes, lore of Codex Chaos, Space Marines, Army List, and then hopefully our next episode next week will be us going over the Books of Chaos.
Yeah,
but we'll see how things shape up after
you'll
the
hear about
holidays.
it at some point.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening. Hopefully that wasn't too long and bloated.
I think we kept it shorter than Codex Orcs. So
Okay.
I think we did okay.
We did it.
But lots of cool stuff in here. Like we said, just so customizable. And with all that customization just comes so many cool opportunities for making your models themselves customized to match all of those options. And like we said in the lore video, there's a lot of cool inspiration at the back for different models and paint schemes and coming up with your own legion and stuff like that. So if you've taken anything like that or really customized your army, we'd love to see it. Link in the comments to your Instagram or whatever. Let us know where we can check it out. Or if you've got favorite combos, army compositions, we'd love to hear it. And of course, if you disagree with any of our takes, we would also love to hear that.
Indeed. Yeah, no, tell me why Chosen are the best thing ever, please.
Chosen
tell
backed
me.
up by Defilers.
Yes, but thanks for listening.
Yeah, this has been Cam.
And Grant.
Bye.
Bye.